Hello, hello, hello. Welcome inside Femme's Lair. I'm going to be answering one of your questions that was put in the Ask Femme channel, and it's all about productivity. And that question comes from Jasmine. Jasmine says, any productivity tips, Kat? How do you stay so consistent with your business, leveling up yourself, getting stuff done, etc.? And that was seconded by Duchess, who says, yes, great question. Okay, Jasmine, thanks for asking that. That's a really good question. And I wanted to address it in video format so multiple people can get to see it. So I can definitely tell you, Jasmine, that when it comes to my levels of productivity, if we think of it from a scale of 1 to 10, I am not always operating at 10. That is definitely not the case. When I am operating at 10, if I am there for too long, I experience overwhelm. I randomly start crying in the bathroom. If someone asks me to wash the dishes, I can't help the tears come out. Like it becomes a lot of stress for me. I tend to operate best at like an 8 or a 9. However, in order for me to get to an 8 or a 9, something has to happen, and that's called sacrifice. So I categorize what I spend my time on into 6 areas. Number one, love. Number two, friends. Number three, family. Number four, working on my business. Number five, working with my team. Number six, my femininity. And number seven, rest. And that is a no level of importance. That's not listed in level of importance. So those are the, wait, that was seven, wasn't it? Those are 7 areas I categorize my life in. Whenever I'm in a place of really being productive, I'm always asking myself, what are my top priorities? What are the key areas of my life that are going to get my focus? Because I have found when I try and put that focus in every single area, I can only dedicate really a small amount of time. And in order to see the level of results that I want, it requires massive action, not small action. So instead, I choose, right? I choose, okay, what are the key areas I'm going to focus on? Right now, for example, because we've just entered like a new level of tier restrictions in London, tier 4. There wasn't even a tier 4 before. I'm like, I didn't even know deeper levels of lockdown was even possible. Because of that, dating right now for me is not a priority because I'm in a place where I've said this before. I want to mate my next partner through connections rather than online. But what do we need to do in order to have connections? There needs to be like events, there needs to be house parties, and all of that stuff to go to. So the whole romantic aspect has been put on the back burner. That's not to say it's completely gone. I'm still learning more about romance and love, and I'm still talking to people, but it's not my biggest priority. Instead, right now, my focus is shifted towards the personal development, career, business aspects. So, specifically, working on my business and working for my business. When I'm working on my business, I'm thinking about how can my business grow? What are the new things that I can continue to add to the Femme Guide that allows the Femme Guide to be so unique and so distinguished when it comes to femininity? When it comes to working for my business, that's about the day to day, the social media posts you see that goes out, the interviews for University of Femininity, the sales pages that gets created, and also working with my team. So working with my team in particular, especially over the last few weeks as we come up to Christmas and I'm going on holiday, has actually changed my sleeping pattern. So I will tell you that my sleeping pattern initially is formed in a way to allow me to be the most productive. In my last job, I worked, let's see, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, I worked 8 hours, excluding a break, right? So, right now for my business, I also work at least 8 hours a day. However, I know from how I work that doing 8 hours all in one go doesn't work for me because I get bored, I get tired, I start to fall asleep. And if you are tired, there's no point working because your productivity, your output is very, very low. So, what I do is I create my time around how I work. So, number one, I don't sleep on normal people's sleeping patterns. again, except for this last few weeks where I wanted to work specifically with my team. But I'm a girl in the UK who wakes up at like midday or 1 p.m. And that means I go to bed at 7 a.m. But that's also because of my coaching times, because I'm US based according to like my coaching times. However, those pockets of times, I split them up into 4 hours. So I work 4 hours all in one go. Then I might take a nap, right? I might do something else for another few hours. And then I do another 4 hours. So I found that making sure that my work pattern works around how my body works and how my lifestyle is set up is really important. Another thing that allows me to be really, really productive is I am the queen. And if I take you back to the days where I was at capacity, so I'm talking, I was in university I was in work on Monday, university Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, work again on Friday, personal work on Saturday, and then dating on a Sunday, and doing homework where every single day was busy. How I was able to be so productive without losing my mind and to still be the girl who would say, yeah, I've got some free time. And people are like, how? How do you have free time? Number one, key thing is that I used every single bit of free time that was available to me. So, for example, it would take me about an hour and a half when I used to take public transport to get to university. And I could say a good solid hour of that time was time when I could be on my phone listening to music or watching Netflix. The old cat during that hour would have pre-downloaded Netflix episodes to watch. Maybe I'm catching up on Desperate Housewives or I'm watching Love is Blind. When I went into a place of actually, I want to, number one, increase my income and I want to improve on myself overall, that hour that I would have free, I would dedicate either towards growing my business or my side hustle or improving my knowledge. So if for those of you who've taken a goal setting class, you know about the hour of growth. So that would be my hour of growth covered because I have to travel regardless, right? But instead of me sitting out, sitting on a chair, dozing out the window, listening to romantic music or whatnot, I would kill two birds with one stone. I would do my hour of growth then. But then keep in mind, I also have another hour on my way back. And when I started the Femme Guide, this hour was when I would respond to my comments and respond to my DMs. Because the amount of, let's say, a level of high attention it takes to respond to DMs is very different than it takes to create content. DMs is here, content is up here. So I'm very, very skilled at using my time that way. The same thing would apply to how I even set up my love life and dating. So I would know, for example, if I was to get ready for a date, it's going to take me at least an hour. So instead of me going to university, then traveling an hour and a half home, getting ready, so that's 2.5 hours, and then having to travel back into central London, which is going to take me an hour, that's 3.5 hours of time gone. Instead, the time I used to get ready in the morning, I would wake up 20 minutes earlier so I could get ready as if I'm going for a date. I ditch the heels and have the heels in my bag and maybe a few accessories in my bag. Go to university. Instead of me spending an hour and a half traveling home to change, I would spend that time traveling to my date. And I would just have all my dates start after like an hour and a half after university. So like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in central London. So I'm saving so much time. But again, I'm traveling, I'm going on my date. What am I doing? Am I just like dozing out the window? No, maybe there's a particular book that gives dating strategies. I'm re-listening to that, conditioning my mind. Maybe I have a playlist and I'm doing a romantic seduction. And my vibe this time is the princess. Well, I'm listening to my princess playlist and I'm getting myself in the mood. So maximizing time is really, really, really key for me. There's no time, and it got to a point where I don't take public transport anymore. I just take Ubers. And I noticed myself initially when I take the Uber, I just sit in the back and listen to music. And then I see the cost of how much all these Ubers would cost me. And I'm like, okay, if we want to make this like an actual part of our lifestyle, I need to either say I can't afford this, which is a poverty mindset, or I say how can I afford this, which is a rich mindset. Now a wealth mindset says how can I make this make me money. So let's talk about when I went from I can't afford this. I was like, oh, I need to stop taking the Ubers. I need to go back to public transport. And I was like, no, I'm going to take what I know about money and finances that I've learned from my mentors and I'm going to level up. And instead, I said to myself, how can I afford this? So, what I would do is I just did a few extra coaching sessions. And those few extra coaching sessions that I opened up in my schedule was able to cover that part of my lifestyle. But then, when I was saying a wealth mindset, how can I make it make me money? I decided that I would do my specific discovery calls in the car. So if you're having a discovery call, it's because you're interested in joining in one of my programs and we're trying to see what's the best fit. If it's University of Femininity, it's like, kind of, will I accept you onto this program? So I would do those calls in the car. So I'm sitting in this car, let's say it cost me like $50. But if that was a successful call, I've now gained $1,000, $2,000. Maybe it's a $10,000 program, right? That the person is signing up for. So that's how I made it make me money. I really hope that you get this. So what I want you to do is I want you to think, where in your life could you implement the same strategy? Where are the pockets of time that you have that you can pour into productivity? Ditch the Instagram likes, ditch watching Netflix, ditch listening to music, and start to put in time that's either going to help you grow or is going to help you save time. So if you're a career person and you're not an entrepreneur, that additional 45 minutes you're saving right now, not commuting to work, instead of you sleeping in for an extra 45 minutes, why don't you dedicate that extra 45 minutes into taking an online course, something that's going to help you build up your resume, your CV. So when you come back to work, number one, you put yourself in a better position for a raise, or you put yourself in a position to go and apply for a higher level job. One of my very first monthly coaching clients, her name was Laura. And I remember when I spent some time talking to Laura, and Laura told me how much time she spent watching Netflix. Now, it didn't shock me, because if I told you how much time I spent watching Netflix, it would shock you too. But I'm a film student. This was my degree, right? So it was very, I mean, till this day, I still do it. But what I identified was Laura was at a place where how much she was being paid, I was not comfortable with, and neither was she. I was like, for you to reach your lifestyle goals, you deserve to earn more money. So why don't we remove just 1 hour a day of your Netflix time? If you're watching 4 episodes a day, that's just taking away one episode, 1 hour a day, right? And instead, what I helped Laura do is focus that time into applying for jobs, improving her resume, with learning how to write a captivating cover letter, improving her skills. By the end of the month, she came back to me and she was like, Kat, I have been practicing everything you said. I've dedicated that 1 hour of day. I don't feel like my world has completely shifted, but I actually told my boss that I would be leaving my job because I got a job offer somewhere else. And I was so, 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 so happy for her. And we talked about some techniques for her to communicate to her boss that she was leaving. She comes back around and she says, okay, so I told my boss that I was going to leave, and he begged me to stay. And he also offered me a 30% pay rise. What could you do right now with an extra 30% of your income? A lot, right? Wouldn't that be pretty sweet? So we had gone from just taking 1 hour of her day and utilizing it properly beyond what is expected of her. And she comes back around. Not only does her boss value her more, but he also offered her a pay rise. She didn't even need to leave. That was just from one small switch. So if you start to make lots of small switches, you will see how easy it is to be in this place where you're prosperous with your business, you're prosperous with your own leveling up, you're prosperous in your love life, and you're still in this situation when someone says, hey, do you want to travel? Like this guy I went on a date with, he was like, for our second date, he wanted to take me to Paris. And I was like, yeah, I can go. 2 days from now? Sure, right? Or you put yourself in a position where you have time to dedicate to your femininity. You have time to rest, right? And that actually brings me on to the last thing, the importance of rest. None of this would be possible if I didn't have a very, very loving and healthy relationship with sleep. Sleep is not something that I miss out on. I really value sleep, and that's because I value my success in life. And I know that in order for me to be successful, my brain has to be sharp, but my brain cannot be sharp when I'm tired. So when I am in situations when I get tired and there is not an immediate deadline that needs to be met, I listen to my body and I go and rest. I go and sleep. I take a break. Maybe I play some games. I might come in the Discord with you ladies. Do not ever allow yourself to enter that situation where you're so focused on work and so focused on action that your femininity is forgotten, your peace is forgotten, your friends, your family, all of these things are forgotten, because you'll end up like many of the super, super successful women we see who kill it in their careers or their business, but the rest of their life is a shambles. So while doing all of this, you must have a healthy relationship with sleep. I am not about balance so much as I am about abundance. So I wish you lots of abundance as you go ahead and you implement all of this. I'm sending you lots and lots of love. And I will continue to answer your questions in Femme's Lair. If you're watching this, actually, and you're like, what is Femme's Lair? Femme's Lair is the private community that's invite only that I have for my most engaged followers. It's on Discord, and this is where I show up, I do lives, I do videos like this, I answer questions, we play games, we have watch parties, we watch films together and analyze them and think of how we can implement them. We have a book club where we meet every fortnight and cover a specific book and look at how to implement it. It is a really fun, engaged community. We are growing really, really quickly. So if you'd like to join, there's just one rule, and that is you have to be engaged. So send me a DM or leave a comment underneath this video, and my team will reach out to you with a link. Oh, side note, because my team handles the questions and they have a lot of patience. But when I go on there, I don't have as much patience, you ladies. If you do not know how to ask for a link in a polite way, I understand why your life is a mess. Basically, you are beyond help. This is simple manners. Please understand how to ask for something with grace, right? Treat people with the grace that you want them to treat you with. That's where I'm going to end it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you inside the layer. Bye.